Okay, the scripting for teaching participants in classes how to tie the figure-8 knot is both fun and pretty engaging and relatively simple with only two things that we need to look out for that we'll mention specifically. So teaching people to tie the figure-8 knot begins with finding the end of the rope and measuring out an appropriate length. So what we do is we say, grab the end of the rope in your hand, stretch it all the way out between your shoulder and the end of your arm. You drop the end of the rope and you make a loop. Now you're going to pretend this is the head of someone you love. You're going to wrap your arms around their neck. You're going to give them a kiss. And if you've done it correctly, you're going to have something that resembles a figure of 8. Now there's two other ways that people like to do this first part of the knot. They say, measure it out, drop the end. This is the head of an alien. You're going to strangle the alien around the neck and give him a punch in the nose. That's a lot of fun for teenage boys. They always like something silly and violent. There's one other that I like to use during the winter time. You say that the loop you've made is the head of a snowman. You put a scarf around his neck, and you put a carrot in his nose. These are just three different ways of doing the same thing, getting people to tie that first portion of the figure-8 knot correctly. There's only one thing you need to watch out for as a new instructor here, and that is which way people are passing the rope around the loop. It always has to go across in front of the loop. Which that means is if the rope is hanging down on this side, you have to come to the other side. If you pass around behind, what you get is just a standard overhand knot. But those three ways are fantastic ways of teaching the figure-8 knot. They're simple, they're engaging, and people get it really quickly. So after you've got everyone to get the first half of the knot done, then we have to talk about threading the knot through the harness and finishing the knot. And one note here is that the instructor is often wearing a different harness than the people in the class are, and we just have to note that. So what we do is we say, okay, you're going to take the end of the rope and you're going to pass it through your tie-in point on your harness. For you guys, that's your green loop. For me, I have two tie-in points, so I'm going to have to go through both of these. It doesn't matter if you come from the bottom up or the top down. You just have to make sure you get through your tie-in point. Now, you'll notice I'm pulling my knot about an inch away from my harness, and I'm leaving the first half of the figure-8 open and large. It's not time to cinch it down yet. I want plenty of room to work with and to see what I'm doing. So now what we do with the knot about an inch away from the harness, we say the end of the rope is a train, and the rope leaving your harness and going into the knot is the tracks. And the train is going to follow the tracks. So I see it goes under the first loop, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull all my slack through, and then I see that it goes around the bend here, so I'm going to do that. Then I see that it goes down into the middle of the knot. Again, I'm going to pull the slack through as I go. And then the final thing the tracks do is they go around this bend and back up through the top. So that's what I'm going to do too. Now that I've got the rope all the way doubled back through, now I can pull it tight. And if I've done it correctly, my figure-8 knot will add up to 10 because everything will be doubled. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You'll also notice that I have a good amount of tail here. I have more than 2 fistfuls, or if you want to do the hang loose Hawaii measure, I've got enough there too. One thing we don't want to do is we do not want to encourage people to tie a backup knot or a quote safety knot. The safety in the figure-8 knot is tying it correctly and getting it through the tie-in point correctly. And that brings me to one change that we've made fairly recently in tying this knot, and that is what we've noticed is people can get so involved in checking the knot that they forget to check that the rope is actually through the harness correctly. So we've just modified the addition strategy by saying through a 2 tie-in point harness, the knot should add up to 12. It's through both tie-in points, and then the knot is 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. On a rental harness with only one tie-in point, we say it's an 11 count. The point is, we don't want people to just focus on the knot. We want people to focus on the entire system, that the harness and the knot passing through the harness all have integrity. So that's it. That's the scripting for the figure 8 knot. It's fun. It's pretty easy. You will want to give people many opportunities to practice this. You don't have to rush through this part of it. Remember that the figure 8 knot is really essential, and people might leave your class and not come back for 2 weeks. So you want to give them 5 or 6 or 7, even more opportunities to tie the figure 8 knot before you move on with the rest of your lesson.